Nyakit Janet.
Good morning.
You want to go through them with me?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Unsti Huntedish.
Ooh, that one's a hard one.
That's
Pivawona.
Wichita. Pivuna, let me see. Gwina. That's the easy one.
Gwina. Yeah.
That's Kickapoo.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is, well, we don't have it up there, but it's Stongo. Stongo is Muskogee Creek or Seminole. And then Osio is Cherokee.
Osio.
Sio. And then Halito is Choctaw.
Halito.
And then Madawika is Comanche.
Madawaka.
Kikadoos.
Kikadoos is Pawnee. Kunamante is Mohican. And let me see.
Osio.
I did OCO.
Halito.
Halito.
Say, auntie.
Unsti Huntedish.
Ooh.
That is Wichita.
I'm gonna have to work on that one.
Yeah. And then, there's Heinepe, which we know that because of Connor.
Mhm.
She's part Ho Chunk now. Yeah. She's married in. She got uncled in, so. But yeah, good morning, good morning. How's it been going, Miss Tatum?
It's good. My first week was good. I'm gonna get used to being here late for my meeting.
Oh yeah. I mean,
You know,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to. Not that I haven't been going to meetings. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
the meetings around here, you go out to the city and there's meetings all hours of the day.
All hours.
But we got noon or 7.
Two. Yeah, we got 2 meetings.
And I wanted to do my women's meeting a little earlier. That's why we're starting at 6. So we have some various times of different,
Yeah.
things you can show up for. And but yeah, that is what I'm passionate about, and
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's just gonna take a little time for me to, readjust.
Yeah. Yeah, for
New
sure.
schedule.
Well, we appreciate, your dedication. You
Had to
know,
do it.
I wish you would have got to come see us clown around at the ODAPCA conference.
Mhm.
But we I think just about everybody in there had already heard us talk. I'd say about 90% of the people in there already heard us talk.
Yeah.
So they kind of know, what our presentation is about.
Mhm.
But it was kind of cool because a lady came up to me afterwards and was crying and was like, "Thank you. You give me hope for my son."
Mhm.
And like that's like that's what I needed. Like I don't need that validation, but like it inspires me to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that was pretty cool. And then, got to meet somebody and come to find out she's in recovery and she's a, drug and alcohol counselor and her granddaughter is best friends with my niece.
Wow.
Yeah.
Over
So
at
in Thomas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Small world sometimes.
You never know who you're gonna
You never
sit
know.
across your path.
Yeah, yeah. So, that was pretty cool. I mean, it was, it's always a great experience. I don't mind getting up and, speaking my truth.
Mhm.
I like speaking up about what it is and not that we're different in the sense that, oh, we had it worse or, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like in the sense that, there's a lot of mistrust between natives and like just the community in general.
Mhm.
Like the things that we were taught. You know, even as a kid, I remember going to AA with my dad, thinking like, where are all the brown people?
Mm.
Like even back then.
Yeah.
And when you understand this sickness even more, it's not about the color of your skin at all. It's never ever been about that.
Mhm.
And fortunately, you understand that this is an addiction that does not discriminate.
Right.
So I like speaking about just the things that we have to recognize as a people that maybe have put us in the position that that I feel like my people feel like that they are in.
Mhm.
The generational trauma, the all the boarding school era, like some of the things that maybe need to be brought to the light
Right.
to maybe help other people understand who we are as a people.
Mhm.
So that's what I like to feel like, that I feel like that's what I need to speak about today. So I don't mind getting up and speaking in front of anybody,
Yeah.
and just because I feel like I am the majority of natives out there.
Mhm.
I'm rugged. I grew up poor. And I did all the wrong things. I did all the wrong things, and not to say like I was forced to, but I just thought that's what you did.
Right.
You did all the things that I thought you were supposed to do. And so was everybody else around me.
Mhm.
So I like speaking about the change that happened in my life. So I can't wait for you ladies to start getting up there and you know, uh just letting it rip,
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited, when we get Theta up there, it gets easier. I mean, I know you have no problem with it.
Yeah. Well, it's getting easier for me too.
Yeah.
Like, but that's the thing is, like what you were saying, I have a story. My
Yeah.
life has been a
Yeah.
story. My life has been a roller coaster. No, it's
It
pretty
is.
smooth and serene today. It's pretty, things are going good and flowing. But yeah, I have a story, and who would I be to not share it and not speak up for the people who are too scared to, or
Definitely.
you know,
The people who suffer in silence.
yes, exactly. And all of my life experiences can be used for the greater good today. And I think that that's one of the most powerful things,
It is.
working with not only this program, but in recovery in
In
general.
general, yeah.
Yeah, it's a blessing for sure. Last night, after I had my youth group for 40 minutes, and then I went to the adult talking circle for
Yeah.
20 and got in some, prioritized my recovery a little bit. And after I left, I got in my car and my Bluetooth connected, and it was flute meditation playing because I've been practicing meditation with my youth. I taught them last night about just what that meditation, the pause,
Yeah.
can do for them in different situations. Allow them to think better and more clear. So
Frequencies.
I don't know how well they did with the meditation. I kept popping one eye open just to look
Yeah.
around, and they were, that it's not easy for them.
All looking at each other.
Yeah.
What is she doing?
One time, like one of my kids took a big old slurp of his tea and was just like.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, anyways,
It does
I
take practice. It
yes,
actually does.
I want to plant that seed in them early so they have that tool in their toolbox.
Mm.
You know. But so we practiced 2 minutes only of guided or not guided meditation, but flute meditation music. And so I hop in my car, and that flute music is just plays, just starts playing, and I just started praying, like just thanking God for all the opportunities in my life, and what my life looks like today is um like I'm an answered prayer.
Yes,
My recovery
definitely.
is someone else's answered prayer. And Dave talked a little bit about that last night. And so just got me thinking, got my brain just,
Churning.
yeah, of like gratitude
Yeah.
too. It was peaceful. It was a peaceful drive home.
Iron sharpen irons.
Mm.
And that's one thing that I I realized early on in my recovery is like the power of my story. Everybody is not going to get it, right?
Hmm.
It's not for everybody.
Right.
But as long as that one person, might just hear that one thing that uh, he can relate to.
Hmm.
And, I realized early on, um, that every bad decision I've ever made in my life can be used to save somebody else's. Like, to me, that's the most amazing thing about this recovery game.
Yeah.
Is like, really, like, like the interconnectedness of my bad decisions
Hmm.
can be used for something good.
Absolutely.
Like, that's crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like who'd have thought?
Right.
Like, who would have ever thought? A little dope head like me. Like, like, I'll just be honest about it. Who would have ever thought that? And I like to say this all the time, that God can make the worst situation in your life the best situation in your life without even changing the situation.
Yeah.
Like, without even having to, like, he allows it to happen. And then you think, oh my God, like, how can, like, and then within a matter of days, or however long it takes,
Hmm.
hours, minutes, seconds, you really think about the situation. Like, when I got it, I was ashamed, that I was going to rehab.
Yeah.
I was guilty because, I was having to leave my kids behind. But then I thought about it, like, what was I really doing for them?
Hmm. Because you couldn't show up for them,
Yeah.
like they
Couldn't even
needed
show up for
you to.
myself.
Right.
So then I was grateful, went from guilt to grateful,
Hmm.
like, within a matter of, paying attention to what other people were saying, and understanding that, it's my way of thinking that got me in that situation. So let me hear something positive from somebody else.
Right.
And, like I said, it went from feeling horrible to, like, this is the best decision I've ever made in my life. Hands down, like, the best decision I've ever made in my life
Hmm.
was to get sober. So, it's been a cool journey.
And it's not even close to being over.
No, like, if I would have wrote down what my journey was supposed to look like when I started this thing, I would have shorted myself.
Yeah.
I definitely would have shorted myself. So, those are just the type of things that go through my mind today. That,
Gratitude.
yeah, gratitude for sure. That starts early off in my day. Do we have any comments?
Yes. Can you scroll up and
Dez is our producer
we
today.
will check in with
Resi
everybody.
Desi.
All right. Drew said good
Good morning,
morning.
little brother.
Andrea Alexander said good
Good
morning.
morning, Andrea.
I got some tea on Bowtone, aka Seminole Man.
No, you don't. Yeah.
Darian said we had a record breaking attendance yesterday.
Oh, yeah. What, 8? Yeah.
What is it, a small crowd?
Yeah. Like I said, 90% of them done heard us talk before.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
Oklahoma City in 67 days clean and
Wow.
sober. That's
Who was
Bubba
that?
Avery.
Oh, all right, Bubba. Thanks for tuning in. He's an old Georgia Bulldog right there.
Hmm.
But he's my in-law.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Johnny and Penelope's uncle. So
Nice.
proud of you, brother.
Going.
Yeah,
Keep
keep going. It's just the beginning. Happy for you.
Darian said record low.
Yeah,
I believe it's Cece.
C dump. C dump.
Keep doing that work, bro.
Already, sis.
J.M. Botone.
Yes,
That's
Jessie May.
Yeah.
Jessie May.
I'm like just picking up on all the names
Yeah.
and all that.
Yes, my Aunt Jessie.
Nyakit
Nyakit.
nephew,
Nyakit.
Barry Botone, and Cheyenne and Arapaho Tour Project.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Janice Logan said,
Janice
"Good morning,
Logan.
guys.
All right.
45 days today."
South Coast Behavioral Graduate. That's a South Coast alumni right there.
Mm,
Oklahoma City alumni.
really?
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
gonna go speak over there hopefully soon. I've been
Yeah.
talking to Dave about it, but I'm excited to see the facility and check it out.
For sure. For sure. And you know the guy that runs it is from El Reno.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Me and him go way back like 4 flats on a Cadillac.
Who is that? James Wayne Pedro Jr.
Yes.
You know him?
Mr. Pedro. That's my little brother right there.
I'm teasing. He said, "Good morning. 358 days.
That's
today,
what's up, brother.
By the grace of God, coming
One
up
more
on
week, huh?
1 year again. Yeah.
One more week. You know, that's amazing, brother. That is amazing. I'm so proud of you. You know, and I'm sure you see the results when that little girl looks at you. You know, so congratulations, brother. One more week. And I got 3 years, 11 months, and 21 days.
Wow.
1,452 days today.
That's incredible.
You know, who would have ever thought?
Mm-hmm.
You know, who would have ever thought? You know, I know I didn't. You know, and I think that's why it's so important to count your days, because I remember when one day was a struggle.
Mm-hmm. When I'm seeing these comments like 45 days and all of that, like that's so beautiful to me because I remember what that was like. And it's like learning how to live all over again when you're in your early days.
Early days, yes.
You have to like cross one bridge at a time, you know,
and you find yourself, you know, like for me, I found myself in a place I've never been before. Mm-hmm. You know, like I got real honest and I had to take a deep, dark look at my truth. Right. You know, and all those emotions and everything that I was trying to avoid, you know, they came right to the surface. And if I can say anything about those emotions, is that they made me feel human. You know, all them things I was running from, they made me feel human. Wow. You know, and I never really had that feeling before. You know, I always just kind of felt like, you know, like I always say, you know, I used to think God was mad at me. Mm-hmm. You know, but what it was nothing ever worked out for me because that wasn't the life I was meant to live. Right. So, you know, you know, those are the toughest days, I feel like, are those first couple of days. You know, but once I committed to going to rehab, it was like automatically that weight had been lifted off of me. Mm-hmm. You know, automatically, you know, it was like this sense of relief came over me.
That's kind of like that surrender, you know? That's like surrendering, like, okay.
Like,
that's it. Like, you know, I can't keep going like this.
Like at the Western Club, it says on the wall, the defeated don't get to negotiate the terms of surrender. Wow. You know, like whatever that had to look like for me, you know, I was ready for it. You know, anything was better than what I had to go back to. Yeah. You know, so was that all the comments or?
No, we got a few more. Sue said, "Great job. I love your road to recovery. Mindful breathing and meditation is a wonderful tool."
Definitely. It is. It is. It helped with my anxiety.
Yes, it's so necessary. Laney Black, good morning from
Good morning. Britain. Good morning. That's my niece right there.
942 days.
Wow. Happy for you. Kiss that baby for me.
Yeah, keep going. Sue said, "I'm a licensed massage therapist in New Mexico. Healing is a wonderful and loving experience. Holistic healing is wonderful and helps heal from decades
Yes,
of
it
trauma."
is. Thank you. Thank you for that comment. Who?
Kimberly.
Sexton?
Yes.
Oh, Sio sister.
1,222 days.
Wow.
today.
That's amazing.
That is incredible.
That is amazing.
David Deere, good morning.
Stongo David.
Native American flute is the best healing music.
It is. You know, it's that frequency.
Mhm.
You know, I think it was my brother Perry Blackwolf came on here and he was talking about, you know, like that's a thing is you ever do like whenever at the rehab I went to, we used to have this guy, he would come in with the crystal bowls
Yeah, I never got to do the sound.
and do the frequencies.
Mhm.
I mean, that's like an actual thing, you know, like you can do low frequency things.
Right.
You know, that's using drugs, that's drinking. You know, like negative things are low frequency.
Mhm.
You know, and like if you do stuff to empower yourself, you know, heal yourself, you know, you it's like you're moving on a higher level of frequency. You know, it's an actual thing, you know. You ever see like I can't remember what it was this thing on YouTube I used to watch. And whenever they would play pretty sounds
Mhm.
and they would have salt or sand on this speaker, it would make a pretty shape.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then whenever they would play like, you know, like a low, like deep dark sound, like it would make a shape, but it wasn't anything like, you know, like the pretty sounds.
Wow.
Yeah, like it was an actual thing, you know. Like you can do low frequency things.
Mhm.
And that made a lot of sense to me, you know. But he was like a guy that would come in with no shoes on, you know, like he walked everywhere barefooted, and he was a meth addict, and he would go to the homeless shelter in LA. So like all the homeless community in LA knew who this guy was.
Really?
Yeah, like he loved doing it. And it was cool for him to come to our rehab, you know, and he would put his feet inside, you know, like fold his feet up on
Oh.
his thighs.
You're doing it all the way up here. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, hold on.
I mean, you know, he'd have his legs like folded in,
Uh,
and he would be all into it,
that's
like
cool.
yeah,
It's
like he
tapping
would.
into higher energy.
He said that's what kept him sober,
Wow.
and people pay him to come and do that.
Mhm.
You know, it's just part of his recovery.
Yeah.
So you know, I always think about those things. You know, frequencies.
Mhm.
You can do low frequency things in your life.
For sure.
Do we have any more comments? There's a mic right there, Des. If you want to, I'm about to leave.
Good morning, Brother Barry from Leslie.
Oh, it's my sister. Yes. Good morning, sis.
Good morning. Leanna Thomas, Darian's mom, right?
Darian's
Good
mom.
morning, y'all. Happy Friday.
Good morning.
Happy
Good
Friday.
morning.
Kendrick said, Nyakit Pivawona.
Nyakit, brother. Nyakit. Nyakit.
Darian said, look in the mirror. What?
What? Are you being wooed?
I know my hair looks crazy today, but we're not talking about that.
Look in the mirror. There's no telling what he means by that. He heard a comment.
The quote about the defeated is on the wall at the Rockwell group.
The Rockwell. I said Western Club. It's the Rockwell
Right.
Clubhouse. Yeah, we used to go up there for the bingo
Really?
after what's it called? The one where everybody shows up for the speaker meeting, All City or
I know what you're talking about.
Rachel and Shauna always go to it.
Yes. It's every first Saturday of the month or last Saturday.
Last Saturday.
It's not intergroup. It's right.
Oh my god! But after that dinner and that speaker meeting,
Yeah.
we'd go to the Rockwell Club and do bingo.
That's fun.
And they would have like a
Citywide. Thank you.
Yes, citywide.
Thank you, Leanna.
So, you know, yeah, that's where I got to see that on the wall.
Nice.
And it's stuck with me ever since because it made so much sense to me. You know, like let me get my pride and ego out of the way right now. Like, uh, yeah, I have no business thinking I need to run anything. So I like that comment.
Citywide. Yeah, it was
Did
right.
Desiree already go out?
She did.
Hmm.
Okay, you want to jump into the
Yeah, let's go ahead
meditation?
because our producers just mobbed out on us.
Um, do you want to put the meditation up? No, I can. I mean, I can read it. It's totally
Yeah,
fine.
just read
Okay. Spring meditations with Native American elders, and it is April 25th today, not May 25th, not March,
it.
not March,
All day long.
all day.
All day long.
In some mysterious and wonderful way, you are a part of everything, nephew. And in that same mysterious and wonderful way, everything is a part of you. Nippa,
Nipawanda.
yep, Arapaho.
Rapaho. Hadawa.
In order to experience this, we must be aware of how limited our senses are: eyes, ears, touch, smell, taste. These senses help us to function in the seen world. What we see is interpreted by our minds and put us inside our belief system, and this can become our reality. But there also exists an unseen world. In this world, we experience connectedness, we experience the mystery, and we experience another whole point of view. If we pay attention to both the unseen world and the seen world, our belief systems will print in our mind a new and wonderful reality. We will see and know we are a part of everything.
Mm.
Great Spirit, today give me the knowledge to know this mystery.
Yes.
Wow.
Would you like to go or do you want me to go first?
Um, you go ahead. I'm still
Well,
processing.
thank you for reading that,
Mhm.
Miss Scott. Um, what came to mind is, you know, I would have to say that's where some well-variety teachings started coming in. Like I think about spirituality. When I think about all the thing, like if I'm connected to everything, right?
Right.
Like I think about my spirituality. Um, as a Cheyenne or as natives, not just Cheyenne, as native people, we believe everything is alive.
Mhm.
The rocks, you know, just regular old dirt or sand or, like all like the things like I like to go sweat, right? I
Mhm.
like to go to sweat like it's part of my recovery. It's part of who I am. That's where I take all my problems and I leave them there with those rocks. Like I feel connected to that lodge. I get in and I crawl in and I ground myself and I'm able to leave all my thoughts and all my worries there with those rocks. And then I think about, all the elements that it took for that ceremony to happen.
Mhm.
Every tree that had to, you know, that was born, that lived for us to be able to use it to carry on our ceremonies.
Right.
Then I think about like, well, when were these rocks made?
Long time ago.
Thousands and thousands of years ago.
Mhm.
And to think that when they were made, the creator thought one of these days you're going to be used to bless these people.
Wow.
Like thousands and thousands of years ago. Like to think that, like, just think of everything that they had to go through to get to that point.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like it's when I think about things in that sense, it does make me feel a part of everything. They say, you know, if people are hurting, then we're all hurting. But I think one thing that we bring to the table is we're talking about healing.
Yeah.
we're trying to heal. We're trying to find a way. And I'm not saying that I know the only way.
Right.
I would never say that. I know what worked for me,
Mhm.
and maybe that can help guide you on a way for you to find a way to heal yourself. So it's like, something that's really been on my mind heavily is, you know, me as a Native American man, like, where do I stand in my community? I feel like I used to think that our generation died when our fathers were born.
Mhm.
Like, that's how I used to think, because because of the generational trauma.
Yeah.
These
Power.
things that are handed down. That's how I used to think, is like, well, damn, we never had a chance.
Mhm.
Like, our lives were over when our fathers were born. Then I think about something that Mr. Albert Titman said. He said the greatest um, danger to a Native American woman is a Native American man. Like I can't quit thinking about that.
Who said that?
Albert Titman,
Okay.
the one that came and trained us, facilitated the training for Sons of Tradition.
Mhm.
Because of all the MMIW, all the MMIP, like I guess it was just a reality that I didn't want. I've never heard anybody say it out loud,
Yeah,
but
that has
we,
a whole like
yeah,
meaning to me.
whole meaning to it.
Wow.
And so I've been thinking, like, how do we how do we get back to a man's rightful place?
Mhm.
Like I don't feel like it's like on my shoulders to figure that out, but
Right.
like, it's something that crosses my mind more and more often. So it's like, why not start with our sons? Why not, like, why not apply this type of teaching to my life?
Mhm.
So if there's, if I think about change, I think about, if I want to see change in the world, I have to be that change.
Yes.
I have to be the change that I want to see in the world. And I want to be a part, and not, I'm not self-seeking like I used to. I'm only good to people because they might have something,
Right.
that I
Something
want.
that you
Yeah.
want. Yeah.
So, it's like this thing is beyond anything that my little pea brain could think of, like, I'll just be honest, like, it's way above anything that's going on up here. But, when I think about the positive effect, like, this that training Sons of Tradition could have on my community, it's like, you just, like, there's so many good things that I want to see happen.
Mhm.
But I think before I can do any of that, I got to consult the creator about it.
For sure.
And, he already knows what's on my heart. So, you know, I, how can I cultivate, you know, uh, the fruit of that labor, if that's, if you will. But, those are the types of things that, go across my little pea brain,
Mhm.
and, the hurt of one is the hurt of all. So I feel like the healing of one can be the healing of all.
Yeah.
I need to start carrying myself as the change that my community needs. So
that's what we want to do, right?
Yes, definitely.
That is our message,
Definitely.
and it's only because we lived through it. Like
Yes.
we I lived through the hard things,
Yeah, the pain and heartache.
and we got to talk about it so that we know how to begin to
Yeah.
heal and heal together. When I think about this meditation, we're all a part of everything. I'm just kind of learning how we are connected to the earth and, all the things, but I've also felt very like connected to the moon for a long time.
Yeah,
And
I feel that.
why do they say like say someone's upset or yeah, just having a bad day, they're like go get some sun.
Yeah.
Go touch some grass. Like that makes sense that we're connected to those things and they can
Definitely.
automatically just have like I'm not going to say it's going to make you feel, 100%,
Yeah.
but doing those things and getting out in nature, is immediately going to make you feel better and connected and grounded like
It's a whole thing. Yeah.
yes. The unseen world, I'm learning a little bit about that and I'm all distracted.
Go ahead. Go
Lost
ahead.
my train of thought. Oh, just the unseen world. I know that there's uncertainty in life, but I can't let that consume me today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you have a trust in a power greater than yourself, you don't have to worry about not
Yeah.
trusting.
Yeah.
That takes that fear, worry, and all of that away. And yeah, I know that everything I need will be provided and then
Yeah.
some, as long as I keep walking and keep living life the way that I do.
Definitely.
It's like such a blessing. I had this thought. I get these thoughts. You said like the thoughts that your brain can, but the way that our brains think now versus the way they thought back then is crazy.
Had to be rewired.
It's almost like you took the brain out, you threw it away, and then you got a new one. Not really, because you still got to deal with the trauma, but just the thoughts I have, like I remember one night I was having these thoughts like about mental health and mental illness and things like that, and I'm like, you know what? We need a coffee shop that was 24 hours.
Oh.
Because people feel alone at night, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that would help with suicide rates and stuff if there was a safe place to go
Yeah.
at night.
Just
Other
to
than
be.
bars and clubs and all that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to have company. So these are just the things that I think about off the top of my head and meaningful things, not where am I going out to drink or drug or
Yeah. I wonder what so and so's doing.
who's gonna watch my kid so I can
Yeah.
do what I do and not come back for 2 days. Like I'm sure if you've been in addiction, you've had this thought like, this is how I'm gonna go out. This is the end of my story.
Yeah.
But like if you are lucky enough to have enough humility and lose all your dignity and go through that pain and you get another chance, like God's
Yeah.
not done with you,
Yeah.
This has just been on my mind this week. Like God is not done with me. And I'm gonna do something with that,
For sure. It seemed like once you're able to, you know, uh, find a solution for something just to help you through the day, maybe even the moment.
Right.
And then you get in this positive, you build up this positive traction, and you feel like your life is going in a positive direction. And then, after it, you've got a little bit of time under your belt, 30, 60, 90 days, and then it just seems like more and more doors keep opening on the way. And then before you know it, it's like anything's possible.
Yeah.
Like you, not to say that you beat death, but you're not thinking about dying every 5 seconds.
Right.
And you kind of clear the cobwebs out, and things, you get a different light shown. It shines on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such a, I mean, I understand that it's not unicorns and ice cream every day, but
Right.
you know it's definitely, if anything, I've learned how to put one foot in front of the other.
Mm-hmm.
And just that little simple, something you learn when you're, I started working, I was like 8 months old. You
Wow.
know, yeah. Like I was that young when I learned how to walk,
Uh-huh.
and I had to be taught again how to do that.
Yeah.
And I like to think of myself as a spiritual toddler. Like that's how I think of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just about 2 years older than my granddaughter spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to have the opportunity to be a good grandpa in her life.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can see the interconnectedness of everything when she looks at me.
Mm.
Like I feel equal.
Yeah.
I feel equal to everything else in this world. Like I was just saying, like the rocks were created thousands and thousands of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And to think that when they were made, like the creator would put them in my life to go and leave all my thoughts and prayers with them. So, when she looks at me, like I feel equal. I would have to say that's where I feel connected to everything,
Yeah.
is when that little girl looks at me, and I get to be that papa.
Mm-hmm.
I never really had a grandpa.
Really?
I had my grandpa David Hamilton, and my grandpa Herman. But outside of that, not none that I was close to,
Mm-hmm.
none that I really knew, but I could see them like on a daily in Thomas, and we're not even like, I'm not even blood related to them. You know what I mean? They were just the two old men of town,
Yeah.
and well, my grandma, my grandma Nellie's husband, but I mean, he was still Grandpa David. My little brother Drew is named after him. His name is Drew David.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, he, definitely had a positive effect. He was such a man. He just sat on his bed and read his Bible all day.
Really?
He was a Jehovah's Witness.
Mm.
And to see that dedication of somebody in their faith, didn't watch TV, didn't, he's a Jehovah's Witness. They didn't do all that. My grandma, out of respect for him, would sit at the table,
Mm-hmm.
and just play cards or whatever. Like when it was bad weather, she would come and peek in the room, and see where the bad weather was. But other than that, like it was a great thing to see as a child. I didn't know the effect that it would have on me till later on in life. But
That's cool that you can like look back and have those memories.
yeah, understand where God was present in my life.
Yeah. And I'm sure you like it takes time to see those things.
Oh yeah, for
To
sure.
recognize those things. Definitely. Someone said, Aaron said, where are y'all headed this week?
Oh, we are headed to Portland, Oregon. Me, Carmelo, Domingo, and Darian. And Natalie's going. She's my eyeballs. Jarek is going, but we're going up there for a suicide prevention conference, and we're some keynote speakers. We're gonna tie substance use to suicide, and the effect that, maybe, like just like here, it's a problem everywhere. And you know, I've had, you know, my bout with understanding that process. You know, losing my son in suicide. You know, while I was in my addiction. So, you know, you know, I feel like I don't know how they heard about us. I guess somebody there heard us speak at a conference last year,
Really?
and you know, I'm very honored. You know, very honored just to have the opportunity.
Yeah, that's a blessing.
Man, like just to have the opportunity. You know, then to be keynotes. You know, like that's crazy. You know, um, the goofballs that we are. You know, but you know, yeah, we go to Portland. We leave Sunday, and we won't be back till Thursday, I believe.
Yes. So, um,
So the ladies
the ladies, me, Des, and Theta will be here holding it
holding
down
it down
in the office. I am looking forward to having some guests in next
for
week,
sure, for
some
sure.
women, and possibly even some men.
Yeah, reach out.
Hop on. People in recovery from, not just substance abuse, but I want to touch on.
There's
We
so
got
many,
Mental Health
yeah.
Monday and
Trauma
Trauma Tuesday.
Tuesday, Women's
So
Wednesday.
yeah, so we're gonna be having some guests on. Um, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I think it'll give me a chance to just fly on my own.
For sure. I mean, you know, like nobody can ever tell you that you're not capable of doing this
Right.
but yourself.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like I got to go speak with my niece yesterday, my niece Tatum. And you know, I can't remember if she goes to Putnam City North or West, but they have a cultural day.
Hmm.
And her friend is going to be jingle dress dancing, and she got a tea dress, and she's going to be Southern cloth.
Nice.
So I told her, you know, like nobody ever said that you're not allowed to go out there. You know, it was always me telling myself that I couldn't do it
Hmm.
or I'm going to mess up. You know, like all the things, you know, all that negative, you know, I got a mind that works against me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need my permission to say something bad. You know, like it just comes out, you know.
Hmm.
So, you know, I just want to encourage you, you know, it wasn't easy for me when we started this thing. I thought it was the weirdest thing ever because we just had an iPhone.
Uh-huh.
And it would be me and Domingo, and like we would just have chairs. We would set it on this little thing over there, and we would just start talking to this phone.
Uh-huh.
And it felt like the weirdest thing. And they were 5 or 10 minutes long. You know, I'd read it, give my share, and then all right, thank you, and then that was it.
Hmm.
Now it's like a whole production. You know, now it's like a whole thing now. You know, and I was just, you know, now that I think back on it, it was just another opportunity that the creator allowed in my life.
Absolutely.
You know, so I just want to, you know, leave you with that. You know, it's just an opportunity. You know, and that was one of the things that Don Coyas, you know, the creator of Wellbriety, um, he said that this is the next way to reach people.
Yeah.
You know, you put it in the sky. You know, like you put it in the cloud,
Hmm.
and people are going to be able to access it whenever they need to.
Yeah.
And you know, you know, and Andrea reminded me of that. You know, like that was a vision for him, is for, you know, it just to be accessible.
Hmm.
You know, and you know, how do we have the lady on from New Mexico? You know, like
Right.
that's amazing. You know, we appreciate all the support that we've been able to pick up. You know, and I love the fact that we created a positive place
Hmm.
for people to share how many days they got, and for everyone to be like, man, good job.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what I'm, that's probably the most, you know, the best part about this.
We might get like real and raw and like dark sometimes.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
addiction is dark,
yeah,
but also like if you're on here, you're gonna see laughter, you're gonna see like just good medicine, just
yeah,
smiles, good things. And whenever I thought I was not going to be able to podcast anymore, like it made me really sad because I'm like, I can see this, I can see myself reaching other people.
Yeah.
Like that connection, you know?
Mhm.
And in my training, I learned that the opposite of addiction is
It's
connection.
connection.
And that matters to me, you know?
It does.
It's important that we're able to make these connections, and you just never know who you're going to get connected with.
Exactly. You know, it's been cool, like going somewhere and people are like,
That's you.
"That's you." Thought you were bigger. No. I'm just kidding. But you know, yeah. I wait on him to say the camera does add 10 pounds. No, I'm just kidding.
That's
But
why we wear black.
yeah, yeah. But you know, it's just been one of them things where I don't feel like it's on my shoulders to make sure that this thing goes good. Like I like to say a prayer.
Mhm.
You know, let me be a vessel of your work. Give me your words. Let me say the thing that somebody out there needs to hear. You know, and that's the way I think about this thing, you know, is that people think like I can just talk and talk and talk, but you know, I don't feel like it's on me to come up with something to say.
Mhm.
You know, I quit I quit I quit believing that I need to have an answer for somebody.
Right.
You know, like I just need to speak the truth.
Mhm.
You know, that's all that I need, you know, is speak from the heart.
Yes.
You know, where it talks about the unseen world and the seen world. You know, I can do all the things, you know. Yeah, I can barely see, but you know, I can taste, smell, you know, touch, all the things, right? And yeah, except see, but you know, it's that unseen world that takes over. You know, when I open up my heart and I listen and I talk from my heart, like things take on a different meaning in my life.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll be gone for, you know, I'll probably come back next Friday.
Mhm.
Next Friday, I'll be back to do the live. Maybe. I mean, just depends on how tired I am, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it sucks flying back this way.
Oh,
It's not so bad going out there, but it's coming back.
I remember that feeling. I went
Because
out to
it's them
Washington.
hours that you lose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's losing the hours, I think, that has like takes me a while to catch up. So
Well, our producer left us.
I know, right? That's why I'm sitting here rambling.
I know.
Our producer left, and yeah, he's not too worried about us right now.
Barry said it makes him comfortable to imagine the audience book.
Yeah, oh, Davis Buck right now is typing that out. Sitting on the bow. I know what else he's looking at. Yeah. But yeah,
Good morning.
my brother Randy N, you know, he'll be getting his 4-year chip at the clubhouse Saturday.
Awesome.
He's flying in from Santa Ana. He comes home every year and he goes to the clubhouse and he gets a chip.
Wow.
So, you know, I'm pretty excited about that. He's a guy that really helped me through my journey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and you know, he's my big bro, so we're always giving each other hell. But you know, I think he's flying in today. He was supposed to be here yesterday, but his flight, maybe because of the weather,
Maybe.
his flight stopped in Phoenix, and you know, uh, he'll be in today though.
Okay.
So tomorrow we're going to celebrate his 4-year at the clubhouse at the 506
At noon or 7?
at noon.
Noon. Gotcha. Okay.
So you know,
Cool.
you'll see him get on here all the time and give me hell.
Yeah.
He always says he's home in Hawaii,
Really?
but yeah, he's in the hood in Santa Ana. So
Nice.
Yeah. So that's yeah, we'll be flying out Sunday, be gone. I'm only thing I've heard about Portland is Voodoo Donuts. I don't know.
That's a place you've got to check out, or
I don't
what?
know. I don't know. Like Darian's like, man, it's trash.
Oh.
But I kind of believe Darian because he's a fat boy. He knows about his food. So.
Uh-huh.
I heard they have a chicken and waffle donut.
Ooh, that might be really good.
I know, right? The fat boy in me is like, yeah, we got to go there. But
I
you
just
know,
feel like the scenery will be so beautiful too. Like,
I,
and
I wish I could see it.
air.
I just wish I could see.
You'll see it in other ways, okay?
Being a picture facing the wrong way. Like, yeah, but I mean, I guess it's just the way it's got to be. Like I'm not gonna fret over it.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna. It doesn't bother me that this is the way it's got to be.
Yeah.
It's completely out of my hands, and for him to bring me this far, I don't believe I'm gonna fall flat on my face.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to this ever since we found out. So, there's our producer.
We've been like just
Yeah, just rambling. I can ramble.
Connor pulled me aside and said I had to go speak with the health board, so
ah,
that's where I had to
Damn you, Connor.
go. Yeah, sorry.
have a
Well,
good day, everyone.
Yes, like, share, follow. Tell your mammy about us, and we will see you. Well, yeah, y'all be good to the ladies.
Monday.
Yeah, they'll be back. They'll be here for the all next week, and hopefully we can see you next Friday. So with that, I hope.
We're out.